Mix TV presents the Southeast Tennessee Sports Show, presented by Check Into Cash, your one-stop money shop. Also by Hardee's. Hardee's tastes like America. Now it's time for your local sports highlights and interviews with your host, Ryan Lovelace.
Welcome back to the Southeast Tennessee Sports Show, presented by Check Into Cash and Hardee's. I'm your host, Ryan Lovelace. And boy, it is basketball season, and we are just getting into it. We're closing out football season, transitioning to basketball, among other winter sports, and we are excited about it. So let's hop right into our Hardee scoreboard update and catch some football scores along with some basketball scores. Starting off in the playoffs, Baylor, they drop one to Montgomery Bell. Montgomery Bell has dominated Baylor in the postseason the past 7 years. And then McCallie. They've just been dominant all year. They take down Father Ryan in a game where Father Ryan scored 10 points late to make it look a little closer than it actually was. Moving on, South Pittsburgh, they take on Clay County. South Pittsburgh handles their business. They win 45-7. Another team winning big, Red Bank, they take on Macon County at home. They win by 40. Both of those teams were moving on to the quarterfinals. Silverdale, they had to make a tough trip up to Lipscomb Academy to face the number one team in the state, Lipscomb Academy. They destroy Silverdale. They hold that offense to only 7 points, sending Silverdale home. And then the game of the week, Meigs County, Trousdale County, 3 touchdowns scored in that one, 3 two-point conversions. Meigs County cannot lead a game-tying drive late, and Trousdale County knocks off the number one team in the state, Meigs County, on the road. Ray County and Karns, a game that saw a lot of offense and a lot of running the football. Ray County put 63 points on the board at home. They allow 48, a total of 111 points scored in that game. And that's just crazy to think about the way Ray County plays football. But either way, they get the win and they are moving on. McMinn County, they have to face a very good Powell team on the road, and Powell wins by 42. And then our last football score, Bradley and Farragut. Bradley, they lose a tough one to Farragut at Bear Stadium. That ends Bradley's season. And Farragut has really had Bradley's number in the postseason, and they continue that trend this year. Farragut will travel to play Maryville next. And then switching over to men's basketball for the first time this year, Walker Valley, they win their opener versus McMinn Central 90-59, a lot of points there. And then their girls, Walker Valley's men's lose to Chat Christian 44-55. That game occurred last night. Meanwhile, sticking with men's basketball, Bradley and Farragut. Bradley loses a tough one by 3. Cleveland and Concord Christian. Cleveland gets destroyed 82-58. A tough game up in Knoxville. You can hear more about that later in the show when we hear from Reggie Tucker. And then moving on to women's basketball, Bradley looking to make a run at the state title again. They beat a tough Baylor team by 20. Also, another tough game for Bradley's girls team. They beat Farragut 46-41 last night. 2 huge out-of-conference wins for Bradley's girls team. Cleveland, not to be in the shadow of Bradley, they had a very good win over a very historic and very good Riverdale women's basketball team up in Murfreesboro. They win by 13. And then closing out our women's basketball, Walker Valley, they get their first win of the year, taking down Chat Christian, and McMinn Central beats Knox Catholic. That is all for our Hardee scoreboard update. Now we're going to take a quick look at some of the schedules we have upcoming for this week. First, starting out with basketball. On the men's side, Cleveland will take on Cumberland County tomorrow, the 20th, Saturday game, and then they will travel to play the Alcoa Hall of Fame tournament later this week. Bradley will host Maryville tomorrow, and then Bradley will travel to McMinn Central on the 22nd, and then Walker Valley will travel to Silverdale, their boys team, to play in their Hall of Fame tournament the 22nd through the 24th. On the women's side, Cleveland women's team will also play against Cumberland County tomorrow, and then they will travel to Bradley's Thanksgiving tournament next weekend. Bradley, who is hosting that tournament, will also compete in that tournament, and Walker Valley's girls, like their men's team, will travel to Silverdale to play in that tournament. In football, not a big schedule this week. Only a few teams left in the action right now. South Pittsburgh, they will host Gordonsville. South Pittsburgh, #1 team in the state, looking to make another run at a state title. Red Bank, they have been hot. They started the season 1-3, and they have not lost since then. They'll host Upperman. And then Ray County will travel to a tough environment against a tough team to play Powell. That is all for our schedule update. Now we are going to take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, we have some good interviews, so don't go anywhere. You're watching the Southeast Tennessee Sports Show presented by Check Into Cash and Hardee's. We'll be right back.
Did you wake up craving a made-from-scratch biscuit topped with tender prime rib and a fried egg? How about now? The new prime rib and fried egg biscuit at Hardee's. Feed your happy.
You're watching the Southeast Tennessee Sports Show presented by Check Into Cash and Hardee's. Now back to your host, Ryan Lovelace.
Ryan Lovelace here at Cleveland High School, joined by head girls basketball coach Tony Williams. Coach, jumping right into it, before this season started, you knew you had a tough task of replacing 6 seniors that graduated last year. But before we talk about how you've replaced those girls, how important were those 6 seniors to building this program?
Well, all of those girls were in our program for 3 or 4 years. And the fact that they left it better than they found it, I feel like that's one of the things that we try to preach with our kids, always leave it better than you find it, whether it's our bench after games or our locker room after games or the culture of our team. When players come in as freshmen, they're figuring things out, and then by the time they're seniors, they have a general idea about the way we do things and how we operate. And those girls definitely left it better than they found it. 4 of the 6 are playing at the next level now and having tremendous success so far on the next level. Murr's doing great at Florida A&M. Jaden Chestnut is at Langston University. She's had a few injuries in the preseason, and she's trying to get back from those. Kara's still coming off the ACL from last year. I'm pretty sure she's going to redshirt at Lee. And then Mariah Person just had 16 points the other night in a game at Chat State. Of course, Brenna's in Paul Mitchell Hair School, and Alexia is studying to be a nurse practitioner at UTC. I'm pretty sure she's at UTC. She may be starting off at Chat State, but that's her plans, is to go on in the medical field and do some great things. But anytime you have 6 that graduate and 6 that are well on their way to being great moms, great wives, and just productive members in society, that's why we're here.
So again, obviously a very talented, very special senior class last year. But how have the girls on the team stepped up to fill those roles that have been left behind?
Katie and Alyssa, I said this in the paper the other day, they have, as our seniors, they have kind of taken that torch, and they're carrying it with pride about what it means to be a Lady Raider and what we stand for and what we represent. And then we've got a great junior class that can't wait to see them blossom into leadership roles and take the reins after this year and even now on the floor and in the classroom and in the community. All these girls do a really good job, and we're super proud of them.
So a big difference between last year and this year is obviously the preseason, and that includes some pre-New Year tournaments that you guys will be playing in that you didn't get a chance to play in last year. So how beneficial has sort of the not as COVID restricted preseason and the pre-New Year tournaments, how beneficial are they going to be for this team?
It's huge for normalcy to be able to get together and spend time together and just not have to worry about. It's still a real problem. COVID has obviously taken the lives of many people worldwide and even in our community. And we don't try to downplay or minimize the severity of the situation, but the catastrophic issues that it's caused to our kids in the classroom and our kids athletically and their social and emotional health. I don't know that we can put a price tag on all that stuff that's happened for our youth, and to be able to be back to the way that things are normally when it comes to being able to practice and not having to like put so much emphasis. I mean, with the vaccines and stuff like that, it's been a godsend to be able to just kind of take a deep breath and to be able to plan and prepare. I mean, last year I just felt like we were in a let's just see what happens next mode. And now we've got some planning, we got a calendar, and we feel confident we're going to be able to continue to practice, and we're going to be able to play games in front of like fans, and our student section will be roaring again. And just to see that in football and soccer and the different sports that we had this fall, it was a blessing.
So, lastly, real quick, what are your goals or your expectations for this team for the upcoming season?
Just like I said before, I mean, we practice and we prepare and we try to be the best basketball team that we can possibly be on the floor. And I believe by focusing on becoming great people, I mean, we've got a lot of what we call culture values, communication, character. I mean, I could list them like respect, responsibility, discipline, integrity, being selfless. You know, all these different things that we feel like go into being successful, productive people in society. Those are the things that we focus on most, and just building strong relationships with our players. Because if we do those things, we feel like that the winning and the championships and all that stuff, it'll come, and we feel like that we're getting there. I think we're going to be able to put a product on the floor that will be very talented, but talent can only take you so far. And if your kids enjoy playing together and they enjoy being teammates with one another, that's I guess what you would call the mortar that holds the blocks together. I think we're going to be very, very good. I think we're going to be very, very competitive. And I think we'll be really fun to watch. I think if you guys come out and watch games this year, I think you'll see a group of girls that love each other, love to play for each other, and are excited to see their teammates excel. I just can't wait.
We can't wait either. This has been head coach of the Lady Raiders basketball team, Coach Tony Williams. Now we're going to speak with the head of the men's basketball team, Coach Reggie Tucker. Ryan Lovelace here at Cleveland High School, joined by head basketball coach Reggie Tucker. Coach, I mean, hopping right into it, a historic tradition here. You guys have been to state the last 3 seasons, but last year you lost 3-year starters. I mean, how important were Clay McGowan, Grant Hurst, and Michael Dale just for this program?
I mean, you're talking about 108 wins and 17 losses. You know, those 4 years here, those guys were here, man. But most importantly, we lost some leadership. You know, Clay and Grant and Michael Dale, their effort and attitude was consistently great every day. Those guys never got too high, never got too low. They brought the same energy to practice every day. And right now, we're struggling with that consistently. You know, just trying to find out who's going to lead this team consistently, you know, especially when things get tough between those lines. But we're very talented, but, you know, talent can only take you so far, so we got to have some guys step up and really lead.
So who are some guys just off the top of your head that you're challenging or expecting to step up and lead for this team?
Well, guys I'm challenging every day to lead is Jason Brooks, who's a junior, Alex Hyder, who's also a junior, Judah Salt. Those 3 guys, I've been challenging those guys ever since this summer. They're returning starters. Judah started at the end of the season when Rodney went down with a knee injury. And Alex, you know, he started a few games, I think like 8 or 9 games last year as a sophomore. Was all region, played very well in the region tournament. So those 3 guys, man, I've really been challenged a lot, man, to lead on and off the court.
Yeah, so again, we talked about this a little before the interview, but last year you guys opened with 7 guys at Bearden, and you'd been coaching from a laptop because you had COVID. So how has this preseason of preparation been a lot better and just different than last year?
Oh, definitely. It's been definitely a different approach this year, man. Yeah, first 2 weeks coaching from a laptop at home, sitting in my living room was challenging. This year, man, practice has been going great. Guys are really challenging each other each and every day of practice, man. We talk about, you know, earning your minutes, earning your time, earning your spot, and it's a try out every day. And so our guys really have taken that approach, man, to just competing every day and making it feel like it's a try out every day. Like today, I'm going to again. I have no idea who I'm going to start. To be honest with you, I have no idea who our starting five is because of our inconsistent guys. We got Gabe Leeper, who's our starting point guard. He's been down with an injury. Not sure if he's going to go tonight. And then, we just got our football guys back. So those guys are still trying to, get in shape and trying to figure things out. So just trying to, put the pieces together, man, has been our main objective this past week. But I tell you what, guys are coming in every day, man. They're working extremely hard. They're trying to figure it out. And tonight will be a tough challenge for us. Concord Christian are big, athletic guys. They're going to play extremely hard. They're well coached. It'll be a great test for us.
So you talk about the great tests with the out-of-district schedule. You got some more tough tests out-of-district that you've gone out of your way to schedule. So what is your philosophy behind playing such talented teams before your district schedule?
I want to play the biggest, fastest, strongest teams as possible, to prepare us for February and March. When we get to region tournament and sectional, you see those type of teams, physical. They're not just, they're well coached, they're tough. So I try to go reach out and find some of those similar teams like those so that we compete against early and often. And it makes our district a little easier as well. But you can never, man, be prepared to play those type of teams. You see when we play Collierville, those guys, they wasn't the biggest team, but they were well coached, they were tough. So I try to go find, athletic teams like that to play against. Tonight we're going to play against a great athletic team as well. And they're well coached and they're tough. So, yeah, my objective every year, man, is to go find the toughest, biggest, fastest teams, non-district to play against.
So, lastly, real quick, what are your goals for this team this year?
Our goal is to continue to build on our culture, man. Our goal is to continue to keep growing. Of course, our ultimate goal is to get back to state. That's going to be as long as I'm coaching at Cleveland High School, that's always going to be our ultimate goal is to get back to Murfreesboro. But we got to take baby steps to get there, and tonight is one of those baby steps.
All right, yes, sir. This has been head coach of the Blue Raiders, Reggie Tucker. Now we're going to send it back to the station. As I mentioned, Cleveland dropped their first game of the year to Concord Christian. You heard Coach Tucker talking about his plans for that game. They go up to Knoxville, lose a tough one in their first game of the year. They look to bounce back tomorrow versus Cumberland County. But as always, I'm your host, Ryan Lovelace. This has been the Southeast Tennessee Sports Show. We're going to have another good one for you next week. We're going to talk with Coach Carpenter over at Bradley about his journey and about his Bradley Bears basketball team. But as for me, I'm Ryan Lovelace. This has been the Southeast Tennessee Sports Show presented by Check Into Cash and Hardee's. We will see you next week.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of the Southeast Tennessee Sports Show presented by Check Into Cash and Hardee's. We will see you back here next week.